Hello. I was going to start with what day it is, but I can't remember. I think it's Sunday. Today we're going to talk a little bit about extragram. See if I can get that better. There we go. Light. Extra. Oh, don't cover up Harrison behind me. Indiana Jones. We'll talk a little bit about that. If you have questions, start sending them to me right away as I do the 10-minute warm-up. You guys know how this goes. Those of you who have done this with me. We're going to talk about other things for a few minutes, let everybody get on board, let questions start coming in, and we'll get things going. I have a special guest, or a few maybe today, but we'll start with the first one. And this is Chicken Noodles bringing me Clementine. Yes, I thought I would start with, she won't look at you. Look at her. You know what? Clementine, yeah, she wants to go down. Anyway, time for, here you go. Say hello to everybody, Clementine. Yeah, see, I told you I'd be talking to the cats. Okay, thank you, Chicken Noodle. All right, let's get rolling with some pre-show stuff. This is the fun stuff. I guess that makes the other sound not so fun, huh? It's all fun. I thought today, some of the fun things, I don't know if any of you guys watch Big Bang Theory, but they did this on Big Bang Theory, and I'm not going to do it all, but I can't think of it. It was Sheldon and Penny did it, where they work together, and it's about exploring, learning about each other. It's a book that my friend Jerry Russell gave to me a long time ago, and I've read it, and it has some fun stuff in it. It's uplifting. Uplifting's good, and this is in Fill Your Connection bucket. And these are 36 questions that are supposed to help you get to know each other better. So I'm going to read a couple of these, and you don't need to answer them now, or you can, and I don't know if I can answer them now, but what I thought might be fun is if I read a few, and then, sorry, cat hair, later, once you've had a lot of sugar or maybe some alcohol, you could go back and see if your answers change, because I think they would. So the first one, given a set, okay, let's see if I can read. Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest? Now, I know a lot of you have probably heard this before. And I thought about this quite a bit, unfortunately. You're supposed to just, shoot back and forth, but I had time to think about it. And there are so many people. But then in the end, I decided I think I'd like Cookie Monster, because if I had Cookie Monster for a dinner guest, we would just eat cookies, and I could be as messy as I wanted. Crumbs could fly. Our discussion would mostly just be cookies, cookies, cookies. So I wouldn't have to be very intelligent at that moment. I could be out of it. Cookie Monster doesn't care for long intellectual discussions. He just wants to eat cookies. So I thought I might want to choose Cookie Monster. Would you? Gosh, I'm eating cat hair. Would you like to be famous, and in what way? I don't think I'd want to be famous. I think that would be horrible if you're going up to the grocery store and you're wearing your sweatpants and people are taking pictures of you all the time. I walk around the house in some pretty sad clothing combinations that should never be seen in public. So I don't think famous would be a good thing. Not for me anyway. Before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you're going to say and why? Sure. If, jury duty, no, I guess not. But yeah, certain things, my parents know, but those calls when you have to talk to somebody, when you're mad and you got to call in about like the dishwasher or something, then I do. So I don't screw it up and just get on the phone and just fix my dishwasher, something like that. So I'm going to pause again to say this is the Ann Charles Behind the Scene, take 4. We're just warming up, getting ready for everybody to get here. It takes a little while for everybody to come on board and find us. And if you have questions about Book 5, Extragram, or whatever, Cookie Monster, you can ask them and start rolling in. We're collecting them so that once I get everybody here, then we will start the actual show. And hello to all of you that are here already. Thank you for coming. So I'm not alone today, just eating cat hair and drinking. That would have been a horrible day. Okay, what's another one? What would you constitute a perfect day for you? Oh my, that was a cat. I think for most of us right now, it would be just going out and about with other humans, wouldn't it? When did you last sing to yourself or to someone else? Oh, that was this morning. Chicken Noodle was singing a song right out of the gate, and she put it in my head. Good old earworm. Were you able to live, if you were able to live to the age of 90 and retain either your mind or the mind or body of a 30-year-old for the last 60 years of your life, which would you want? That's tough, because it would be nice to have 30-year-old without all the ache, but I think back to 30s, and I think, yeah, I don't know, 60s. Or, I mean, I don't think I want to be stuck in that mind frame for all 60 years. And I'll read you two more. What time is it? Oh, I got enough clocks around me, don't I? Just a minute or two longer, and then we'll get started with some questions. Let's see. Name 3 things you and your partner appear to have in common. For what in your life do you feel the most grateful? Do you have a secret hunch about how you will die? If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be? You know, Mr. Monk and I talked about this a little bit. He's a friend of mine, and I don't know. I think I would like to be, I would wonder what it'd be like to be raised in a circus. Do you think you'd travel, you get your own train car, and would it be wild and crazy the whole time? Would it get tedious after a while? Make friends with the lions? I don't know. Monkeys, definitely. And last but not least, let's do one more. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be? Sam Lucky would like to fly, I think. He always says if he could fly. I don't know. One ability? Whew, that'd be hard. You don't want to stop time. That'll mess things up. You don't want to read minds because of the things you might find. That's a tough one. I got to think about it. But anyway, so those are some questions that you're supposed to do with your partner and get to know each other better, and then come back around and discuss it. I'm not going to do that with you, but I might try drinking some later and then try answering them again with Mr. Lucky and see what happens. And today's drink, by the way, as we get started, one of my author friends that I really adore, Sandra Brandon, she gave me this a year or two ago. I've sat on it waiting to drink it for the right moment. So today is the right moment. In case you didn't see it, it's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's not my usual, but I thought it would be a good time to try it with you guys while we're sitting here chatting. Let's just hope it doesn't knock me off this chair and put me on the floor for the last half of the show, but we'll try it. And thank you to Sandra for that. If you haven't checked out Sandra, she's wonderful. She's got some great stories. She's a mystery author. She's very kind and generous and funny. We do Festival of Books in South Dakota a lot. And so give her books a try. See if it's, read the review, see if it's what you like. I have another cat coming. Thank you, Chicken Noodle. This is the old girl. Oh boy, don't leave me. All kinds of hair in my mouth. This is Old Bamboo. Yes, she climbs up on me whenever she can. She likes to hang out. She likes to move my mouth. She likes to whack at my hand. She likes to push the keys, don't you? Yes, you do. So this is the old girl. She's turned 17 this month, I think, and she's very vocal. That's just Bamboo. That's not her being hurt. So let's get to questions. Thank you all for your patience as we got everybody going here and get going. I appreciate that. So let's look at, at dinner at Aunt Zoe's, Patty Finch. I agree. Wouldn't that be fun if Harvey's cooking? Oh man, that guy cooks such great food. Jan Loris. Oh, that's very sweet. Her mom would like to have dinner with me. That'd be very sweet. That'd be fun. I think we'd have a good time. Jan's mom, Doris. Hello, Doris. She's a wonderful lady who reads my books. Pat, let's see. What is Doc's middle name? I don't think I've ever had that question before, Pat. Doc's middle name. Boy, I don't, I'd have to think about that. Look back through my notes. I'm sure I wrote, because it's Dane R. Nice, and I'm sure I wrote it somewhere, but I don't think about it very often. So let's go on to the next. Thank you for that. Kimberly, I would like to go back and hug myself as a child and say, you are strong. That is awesome, Kimberly. I agree. I think so many of us grow up beating ourselves up all the time, feeling like we're not good enough or whatever, not smart enough, not fast enough. I certainly was never fast enough at the relay races at the end of the school year every time when they gave out all those lovely ribbons. I was lucky to get a ribbon most of the time. I thought I was fast, And I still think I'm fast. And then I run, and I run against my son, Beaker, who's 15 now. And he runs past me like I'm walking. And I think, what the heck? How did I get so slow? It's not fair. Jan, my mom has a question for you. She could not figure out the answer to the bonus question in quiz 4. What was on the note in Vi's purse? If I remember right, it's we want what belongs to us. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that is the note. That is what's written on the note in her purse. She picked up her purse from the police station and went out, and someone had put that in her purse. So we're still working on the mystery behind all that good stuff. And for those of you who might be newer, I don't think most of you guys are, but you know, when I start something, it doesn't mean if I don't talk about it in the next book or the one after, it doesn't mean it's going away. It's just a matter of when it fits into the overall storyline that it's going to come back around. So remember, this is a big long series that we're working on, and there's all kinds of stuff coming. In book 11, we're returning to something that many of you have asked me about before, and I haven't given you an answer yet, but you're going to get one in book 11 when it comes out. So stay tuned. I'm working on chapter 21 of that yet today, and 22 starting tonight. We'll probably finish around 25, 26 as usual. So you can imagine there's a lot of fireworks going on right now, lots of excitement, fun stuff, and I can't wait to share this one with you guys. So let's go to another question, but first, let's get a drink because I'm getting a little parched already out of the gate on this one. I think it's all the cat hair that's now in my throat and on my face. Man, I love those cats, but come spring, woo, I'm gonna look like a cat before long myself with fur all over me, sticking out my nose and my mouth, my ears. Let's see. Lisa Marie. What's Cooper's first name? You're going to ask that every time, aren't you, Lisa? That's funny. Hold on. Let's take it again. We'll see how this goes. Oh, I think that's supposed to be cut with like Coca-Cola or something like that. Wow. Okay. Oh, that's not tequila. That's not your grandmother's tequila. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go to quiz 5 as I wait for some more questions to come in on my phone. That's why I'm looking down. Let's see. Let's do this one first. I'm going to go off the quiz we did. Oh, man, that is still burning. Quiz number 5. What is Violet wearing in the first billboard Jerry puts her on? Pink satin silk suit. You know, when you drive on Interstate 90, going from Rapid City to Sturgis, and then you cut up into the hills, or you can go clear to Spearfish and then cut up to Deadwood, you go by all kinds of billboards along the road. Of course, it's Interstate 90. It's the big old interstate that goes clear into Seattle if you keep heading west. And I've always stared at those billboards, you know, thinking about Deadwood and ads and stuff like that related to the books, if I could do that. But once I wrote this, now I like to drive down there and picture Violet and the different scenes I could put her in using, you know, kind of what the billboards have already, and maybe put her with a, you know, roulette wheel or you know, cards or something like that. And I think about how much she would just, God, it would make her pull her hair out. So yeah, the answer was the pink satin and silk suit. Let us go to another question from here. I'm getting a text from my husband that says, shot, shot, shot. He wants me to drink some more. We should take it easy on that stuff. Heather, in this time of craziness, the Morgan sisters have been my mental break. 4th time reading them. Oh, thank you, Heather. Those guys, I love those Morgan sisters. They are so much fun to write. Here's a little side, and if we ever do a talk about those books, I'll probably repeat myself, so bear with me then. When I wrote the first book, Dance of the Winnebagos, it was not going to be a series. I was going to write a single title, and I finished that book, and my agent at the time said, great, where's book 2? And I said, what book 2? She said, are you crazy? You've got a whole family here. you got to keep telling these stories. So those guys, you know, got rolling, and that's how it went. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll stop at 3. And then a friend of mine, Paul, he said, why are you going to stop at 3? You can just keep on going. So I did give him triplets, I believe, in that story. You're welcome, Paul. But anyway, that's kind of a little backstory on the Morgan sisters. Here's another question. Terry asks, what is Wilda's twins' name? I don't think I've given that out yet, have I? Probably not. That's probably why you're asking it. Wilda's twins' name. I'm going to have to look. I don't want to answer that before I look at my notes, because I don't want to tell you something and then have to go back and say, yeah, I was drinking whiskey that day and I was just spewing out things left and right. Maybe if I keep going, I might give out Cooper's first name. Let's hope not. I think that needs some ice. Coca-Cola and ice would be good with that. Michelle, what was different? Cat hair. What was different about Ms. Wolf and the others in the past that they ended up with shrunken heads rather than going up in smoke? That is a good question. They're a different breed, a different bloodline of others. There's all kinds, you know, I know I have this others. And there's really multiple species that fit into the under the others umbrella. So Ms. Wolf is one kind of others. For those of you who are reading the Undertaker series as well, we have others in that, and there's a variety of others in there as well. And you're learning a little bit more backstory about them. So each creature has the potential, especially with certain killers, to how they die. And when Violet or an executioner kills, it's different than when, as you guys know, than when a human, like if you were able to actually kill. Like in book 9, skip ahead to its Chimera. When Cooper or Harvey shoots them, they just dead. But when Violet does, they ash in her face, you know, they go up and make a mess. And from the start, I always like that difference, because Violet is only half human. She's a hybrid, and I'm sure, I can't remember if that's let out in this book or the next. It's probably the next, and we're jumping ahead. I blame the whiskey. But she is not full human. She's got mix in her genes, GENES genes. So that makes a difference when she's killed, and it makes a difference with when others are killed by her and when others are killed by certain others, such as the big juggernaut that kills those people in the apartment. I hope that answered your question enough, Michelle. I am feeling the whiskey already. I should have eaten before we started. What's up with the picture of Lane in the mirror? Kimberly, thank you for that question. Kimberly, have you read book, oh, help me out here, guys. Is it 7 or 8? It's 8, I think. Book 8, we readdress the picture in the mirror. And it's all explained at the end of book 8. I believe it's 8, yeah. With what goes on and what happens. And why that picture's in the mirror. So I don't want to give away anything at this point for those of you who have not gone through and read book 8 yet. But there is more to that picture. So check out book 8. But we're working on book 6 next, making our way up. And I know I'm slower than a lot of you guys can read, but I'm trying to give everybody time if they want to read. And then there's the quizzes. Don't forget the quizzes you can take. We're doing one of those a week now. And thanks to Diane for that, Diane Garland. And we're also doing some puzzles now. Wendy Gildersleeve's helping me make puzzles to set out there on the website too. So if you guys want to do some puzzles, you can do those too. So there's my stepbrother, Clint. Hi from Ohio. Hello, Clint. Those of you who don't may not know this, I try to put Clinton at the end of every acknowledgement, telling a little bit about some of the adventures Clint and I have been on in our lives. We spent a lot of time growing up together in the Black Hills, riding a old motorcycle where the shifter was held on by a vice grip, and every time we'd hit a really hard bump, the vice grip would pop off and go in the weeds, and we'd have to stop the motorcycle, shut it down, and go looking for the grip so that we could shift again on the motorcycle. We had a lot of adventures, some including Clint off the back of it being dragged a little bit. Those were good times, right, Clint? Heather, when is the newest Morgan Sisters audiobook coming? Oh, I just am getting so frustrated with ACX. I sent an email to them, I think April 1st. It was not an April Fool's email. And I said, we have been waiting since February 5th for this audiobook. There's readers who would like to listen to it. And it's been well over 30 business days since February 5th when we submitted it. Can you at least give me an idea when this audiobook is going to come out? And I received a reply that said, well, in case you didn't know, we now have a 30-day business or 30 business day wait. So I'm not sure if you read my email. And said, well, we're really backed up and we're trying hard to get to everything caught up, but we're a little bit behind on our audiobooks. So I didn't check right before I went online, Heather, but I did check yesterday, and I'm still getting the same message that it's pending. Pending. And it's getting really frustrating on my end as well as your guys's. Come on, it's an awesome audiobook. Lisa has done such a great job doing the bantering between the sisters and all the crazy stuff going on, especially with Kate. And I really want you guys to be able to listen to it, but I have to wait for ACX, which, and just to pull back a little bit more, ACX is the company that you work with the narrator and you produce the book in, and then they distribute out to Amazon, Audible, and Apple. So it has to get through that middleman where it's all jammed up right now before it can go out to all you guys. But as soon as it goes out, I will be shouting from rooftops, telling everybody about it. So watch for things on Facebook and Instagram and where everything else. Listen to the wind. Is Ann shouting? Yes, she is. And we'll see. I'd hate to have to fly up to Seattle because you're not supposed to fly. I'm kidding. But it's really frustrating. And I'm not the only author going through this. Behind the scenes, I've been asking other authors and I've been listening to other authors talk about this. And we're all in the same boat, just stuck waiting. So I don't know what's going on. Everybody's working from home and this can be done from home. But this started way before the virus really came through. But I guess it was up in Seattle by then. We'll see. We'll have patience. Tara. Hi, Tara. Would you ever consider a full crossover between Vi and her executioner duties with the Morgan sisters? That's a really good question, Tara. Wow, that would be something. It would kind of blow Claire and Kate and Ronnie's minds a little bit, I think, because, yeah, to see all that in play. But I wouldn't, write off that it would never happen because those guys would probably take it in stride. They're crazy enough on their own. But it would be a lot of fun. I do like to go back down. I like to go to Arizona to do that a little bit just because it's fun to get, like when we did Natalie and Cooper down there, pull them out of their element and put them in a different element and make it fun. I'd also like to see sometime maybe Vi go down to visit Quint down in an archaeological site. That would be a lot of fun too, to have her down there. And I'm sure that would cause quite a ruckus if the two of them were together. So let's see. What's another question? I just saw one come in where Sharon Wheeler asked, what is wrong with the poor kitty? If you're talking about the old kitty that I was holding, the second one, there's nothing wrong with her. She's always been extremely verbal since a kitten. And now that she's old, I have a theory that she's hard of hearing a little bit. And so she doesn't realize how loud her meows go throughout the whole house. And these tile floors make it just, rah! It's like she's a lion now. So there's nothing wrong with her. She gets an arthritis shot every 2 to 3 weeks, keeps her nice and running and happy. She's just likes to yell. She used to like to talk. Now she just yells. It's kind of like Grandpa Simpson's on the Simpsons show. Those of you who watch it, where he's always holding his cane going, rah, 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 you young kids, blah, blah, blah. That's our old cat. She likes to yell at us. But she's a sweetheart too. All right, let's see. Another question, not about the cats. Okay, is Ray gone for good, and is he another? Because he was an awful bad guy. He was such a jerk. Oh, he was such a jerk, but he's not gone. Oh gosh, every time I swallow that, I think it's gonna get better. Oh, and it's still the same. Breathe the fire. Ray, like how some of the characters, I don't know, you've noticed probably, each book has a different kind of group of characters and situation that we're working on. And sometimes characters will pull into the background, and other times they come to the foreground. Ray was, as I don't want to ruin what happened in book 9 for those of you who might not have read it yet, but Ray is still around. He's still angry. He still blames Violet for everything. And Ray will be back. It's not the end of him. He's still around. Tiffany is around. Rex is around. Hawk is back in book 11 because he's off leave. So we've got our human pain in the butts back in action and given Violet plenty to tear her hair out about. So that is still going on. I was going to tell you guys a little bit about, with this story, one of the things behind the scenes, and then I'll take some more questions. My husband's writing me at the same time with the little ideas. So, Mr. Lucky, I'm drinking. I'm trying to do this live. You can't do that to me. So let's talk about one thing with Extra Grind. And I talked about it a little bit last time. When I was writing this book, my family and I were preparing. We were getting our house ready to sell and putting it on the market, trying to find a house down here in Arizona, figure out where we were going to move first, and then decided, where at in Arizona. We were painting. I was doing a little bit of all this stuff while writing. Mr. Lucky was doing a lot of this stuff, getting the house ready to go while writing. The kids were in school. So we were trying to get all this done while I finished book 5. And I finished it the day before we hit the road with all our stuff. I kid you not. And then we took off. We drove all our stuff down here, got into our house. And one thing I like to, a little story about our house that I haven't told, I don't think I've ever told you guys. It's a little side thing. And I'm drinking, so you're going to get a little tangent. Anyway, we found this house online, and we had met a realtor, and we had her come look at it, and we liked it. It looked perfect, but you don't know till you go there. We asked the realtor to come over here and take a look at it fully for us. She did. We had the opportunity to go down there, but it would have had to been one of us because we had the kids, and neither one of us, Mr. Lucky or I, wanted to be the one that made that decision of, yeah, let's take it, or no, let's not. So we hired one of the toughest inspectors we could find down here, and he went through the house and gave us like 45 pages of report and said, this is the house, do you want to buy it? And we decided, without having come down here, that yes, we would buy the house. And many people thought we were a little crazy at the time, and maybe we were, but we thought, it looks really good. We've had it inspected. The realtor's been here multiple times. What more can we do besides stand in it? But it's really hard for one of us, either of us to leave. One of us has to stay home. So we bought the house without ever walking through it. We finished the book. We drove down here. We were in a hotel. We went and signed the paperwork on the house. The next day, we came here for the first time, and we walked in the house that we bought. And that was a really fun, wild, crazy ride. And you know what? We still love the house. So it's a happy ending. So that was all going on through the editing process of this puppy. So it was with my editor. It was going through beta. Thank you, all you betas, folks. It's going through all this crazy stuff and trying to get this book out to you guys. And then I threw one other thing into the mix. I decided at that point, I was no longer going to be a part of the publishing company that I was with at the time. I had started a publishing company with my agent when we started the first Deadwood book, when we put the first Deadwood book out. And I decided at that point, when we moved down here, that I couldn't keep being a publisher and publishing other authors' books, even though they were wonderful and great, but that was taking a lot of my time. And I had to either be an author or a publisher, because being both was too stressful. It was really starting to wear on me. So at that point, before this book went out, I ended up quitting the publishing business And my partner and I published nicely and went on our way. And I had written up contracts for myself to have all my books back if I ever decided to do that, which I did. So I pulled all my books, we republished, and this book finally came out. So this was such a major stress book. And I wrote it, and I thought at one point when I was reading it again during the editing process, I'm amazed that the book came out as fluent as it was, and everything worked together. All the threads were tied. I don't know who was running the show, because the conscious me was so busy with the house and the move and everything else and trying to get out of, leave the publishing business, that I'm just thrilled that it came out as strong as it did. So I'm glad you guys like it, those of you who enjoy it. I happen to love it because we meet Stone Hawk, Detective Hawk, which he's so great. We meet Frisia. We Miss Wolf. Vi becomes an ex, she finally finds out she's a killer. All this crazy stuff happens in this book. It's such a good twist and turn from where we've been, before that. So it's a lot of fun. So anyway, that was my little thing. Let's go back to a couple more questions. Let's see. I'm going to have a little bit more of this. I hope you guys are drinking along with me, because then as I keep drinking, I'm going to get more and more funny for you guys, and you're going to enjoy the show even more by the end when we pass out together. Oh, it's good stuff. It's just so strong compared to what I'm used to. Wow. Lisa, do you want me to get you some Coke for your whiskey? Yes, please, Lisa. Woo! I don't have any Coke here. We try to keep popping out of the house right now because our kids are home, and you guys, I don't know about you guys, but they like sugar. So we try to keep it out of here. Will Violet and Doc ever move in together? That's Kimberly. That's a great question. That's something that I think about often with every book as I get going and writing, because they're moving solidly towards that more, a serious. They're in a serious relationship, but there's a couple things. That's a big move. Once you move in, there's no pulling back. The only way to pull back is to break it off, and that makes Violet nervous. And the other thing is Zoe has her house set up for the ultimate protection for Violet and her kids. Doc's house is not set up for that. So to leave Zoe's, Vi would be leaving a lot that's been in place to help her on her journey. So that, makes me hesitate too. On the other hand, if Zoe and Reed ever get together, then I don't think Reed's going to want to live with Violet and Doc and the kids and Zoe and a chicken and a cat and a hamster all in the same house. Maybe he would, but probably not. So we'll see with time. There's a lot to work out. One of the things I try to do with this romance and the relationship part of this series is trying to look at it as I do read a lot of romances, and they, everything ends up happy, easy. The kids love the guy. They all live together. Everything's perfect. Life, is, it's boring because it's so perfect. I don't see, in my experience and what I've witnessed with friends and family, it's not that easy when you have someone coming into a situation like Violet. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of push and pull with who's in charge, and there's a lot of tension and potential for problems. So as an author, that's a wonderful thing, because it makes this, trying to keep it more real, it gives me plenty of stuff to work with to keep things moving as they keep getting closer and overcoming obstacles. So let's go back to questions. Heather, have another shot and tell us Cooper's name. You guys, you're funny. I'm still working on it. Again, some more for you guys too. Take a drink. Give me a break. Let me breathe fire for a minute. Okay. So let's go back to your questions. Who first smelled death on Violet? It was her great-grandmother. I love that great-grandmother character. I love the vision of her up in the attic and the sound of the rune stones clacking as she does her thing. In my mind, she's kind of looks like the old witch from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You know, that kind of nose in the dark, and she's got her apple. That's kind of who I picture her as in my mind. Rebecca Klein. All good series have mortal enemies as well as the big bads. Draco Malfoy. I can't say his name. That's the whiskey. Voldemort, Saruman, Sauron, Rey, and others in the Deadwood. That's true. Yeah, villains are key. If you have a book without any big problems, I mean, there's no conflict. So you have to have conflict, and villains are necessary for that. And the bigger, the worse the villains, the better, because you know that makes for even better conflict. Christina Wynn. I want Natalie and Coop to hook up. If you haven't read the Jackrabbit series, Christina, I recommend you do, particularly book 5, because Natalie heads down to Jackrabbit Junction and Cooper follows along with Harvey. So it's a lot of fun down there with the Morgan sisters. It's up to you if you want to read the other ones first. I would recommend it because it fills in the other parts of the story. But anyway, Michelle wants to know if it's a hamster or a gerbil. I cannot remember, Michelle. I want to say hamster, but it's probably gerbil, and I probably said the wrong thing. I would have to go back and look what the Duke, it is the Duke, yeah, what the Duke is. I might have said a gerbil. I have to think. I don't know. I haven't touched on him in book 11. He's not in book 11. Sorry for all those who are big fans of him. He's not there. Elvis is, though. Where is Natalie when Violet tells her about Jerry and the billboard? In Arizona visiting her cousins. Again, like I said, that's actually, I think, book 4 of it's book 3 of the Jackrabbit series, when Natalie's down there working and helping and partaking in the adventures down there. So if you like crossovers and you want to try that, head over to that series, and while you're waiting for me to finish 11 and check out what's going on there. There's also a tidbit of Quint's story, and Helic and her father in that book from the Dig Site series. She's in that series, with the Morgans. So it's really brief. I can't remember which book it is. Someone else will know who's maybe up on this more, like Diane. Let's see. How many clocks does Ms. Wolf have hanging on her walls? And the answer, that's a tough one. And the answer, I believe, is 113. I've tried to picture that. Have you tried to picture that? Put those on the walls? They've got to be smaller clocks. But it had to fill up all the walls in her apartment. And I'm looking at my walls now, thinking about how many clocks that would be and what that would look like. It would be crazy. But we're going to learn more and more about the clock, the timekeepers, as the series goes on, and Miss Wolf. And again, if you read the Deadwood Undertaker series, you will find Miss Wolf in that series, only she used a different name back then because she likes to change it up. Okay, let's see if I have another question. Nope, let's go to where does Violet find the Freemason symbols? And that is at the Galena house. Now, I don't know what you guys know about the Freemasons, but it's really interesting. So if you ever get the time, let's say there's a pandemic and you're sitting at home and you're wondering what to do because you're tired of doing puzzles and reading and listening to Anne talk, check out, the Freemasons and learn a bit about them. They're pretty interesting. There's a long history. A lot has gone on with those guys. And I started reading about them and really spent some time digging into information about them and finding out who was part of them. And wow, you could really immerse yourself in that, learning some history. So there's an opportunity to that. Somebody wants to read my hat. This is my daughter's hat. Not a hugger. I thought it was a good hat for this time of, this time of the pandemic when we're all stuck at home and we're not supposed to touch. So I saw that hat and I thought, that's a perfect hat. But I like it because the cactus. I got this down at Phoenix, the big Phoenix Gardens, Botanical Gardens. Can't remember. So the great-grand was super creepy. That was from Tara. Yeah, she is. It's so interesting because Zoe has such a, she loved her grandmother and was so close to her. But for Violet, it's a completely opposite experience. Do you guys have anybody like that in your family that somebody just thought was the greatest, but for you, you thought, I don't know, they always give me weird vibes. I think I do. I'm not going to mention names. Clint, my stepbrother. I'm kidding, Clint. No, I really like the great grandmother, and I would love to someday explore what she knew, because Zoe is just in awe of her capabilities. But great grandmother had no executioners to work with at the time, so she was just compiling everything, and she was able to just master her skills without having to, have all the extras. So, Michelle, why are there all the different sizes of clothes and shoes in Ms. Wolf's closet? And that's a good question too. I'm trying to think before I am trying to think if there was something more coming with that. The wigs are in there too. She has wigs, she has clothes, she has all kinds of stuff. And I do believe it has something to do with her other abilities and what she does and the role she plays as a timekeeper. And we'll be exploring in time more about timekeepers and learning more about their duties as the series goes on. There are a lot of roles and a lot of things to learn about yet. So stay tuned for more on that. Let me see if there's another question here before I go back to the other questions. Kimberly, who is your favorite couple? Claire and Mac or Doc and Vi? Oh, that's really hard, because I really like Claire and Mac too. They're fun. I like how he's so serious and Mr. Scientist kind of, and she's just crazy and out of control. So I really enjoy hanging out with Claire and Mac. And I get to go in Mac's head a little bit, so that always makes it fun too, because I know a little bit more. Doc is really, him and Cooper, they don't like to tell much about themselves, unlike Harvey, who tells me all kinds of stories that make my cheeks blush as well as Violet's. So I don't, I also like Quint too, and Angelica. So it's really hard for me to choose which one which couple I like best. It feels different whenever I'm in a different series. Right now I'm in Deadwood, and I'm pretty stuck with all those characters. So, I think of the Morgan sisters and Mac, and I kind of feel like I miss them, but I'm still so much in Deadwood that it's like, they'll be there when I get done. I'll go back to them. Kathy says the wigs are missing. That's right. The wigs are missing. So that's a problem. So we've got to find out more about that. I actually, with Diane Garland's help, who does my story world keeping, I actually have all these questions like, where are the wigs? What happened to, I don't know, why was there a foot hanging in a tree? Which we've talked about some in one of the books. But I actually have all those written down and compiled. So when I start a new book, and before I end a book, when I'm going through, I often go through the list to see what threads have not been weaved together yet, and what needs to be done, and thinking about where I want them to fall in the big overall series on where that needs to come out. So just so you know, for the most part, I think we catch all that. Diane's help, and it comes back around, and then I go pull it all in, and I like the idea of a rug, and you weave it together and pull even more. So let's see if I have any. Angie Anderson. Hi, Angie. Is there any tie genetically between Clem and Violet? Wow, if I answer that at this point, one way or the other, I think it gives away some of the fun that's coming for both series. So I don't want to give that answer. I can tell you that there is no relation. There's nothing between Prudence and Vi, and Prudence and Clem. They are different. Now, there is a hint if you think about the fact that Clementine in the Undertaker series, and she's talking about the Undertaker series, Clementine is Nordic. I mean, she's Viking. And Violet is German. Now, I know there are crossovers, and if you go back through history, but keeping that in mind as you read the stories, that they do have different backgrounds. So without answering, I'm kind of answering, but not fully. So anyway, for those of you, and I'm not trying to, for those of you who haven't read the Undertaker series, I do recommend, if you love Deadwood, you try the Undertaker series, because there's a lot of questions being answered over there from that past, and it's going to all tie together. Believe me, it's all, when each time when Sam and I are working on the Undertaker series, we are very aware of what's happened in Deadwood, and so we're making sure things all line up, and it's tied, and things are going to be really fun, I think, when it's all done. Well, and as it goes. Paula, hi Paula. Time for Claire and Mac to come back in your head, please. I would like them to. It'd be really nice if I wrote, this is where I was saying on Facebook the other day, I kind of wish I wrote shorter books. Because if I wrote 60 to 70,000 or 60, 65,000 word books, it would be, you know, I could do them faster. But unfortunately, there's a lot that has to go into each book and storyline. And I just tend to make them 120K to 130K words long is what I'm talking about. So it takes me twice as long to write a book than if I were to write the shorter ones, unfortunately, for all of you. So I have to kind of choose as I go through with each book that, you know, what comes next, what fits best in the overall series, taking into effect the crossovers and where we are, figuring out what comes next. And that means sometimes a crew has to wait, you know, a certain series has to sit a little bit longer as I go through and kind of adjust and get timelines going. So there's more to come with the Morgan sisters. There is. It's just right now we're working on Deadwood, and we'll see what comes next. Quint's been waiting about 1.5 years to have his next book come out and how it ties in. So, and I really, really do enjoy the archaeology and going down there. That's where I do my Indiana Jones thing. I get to be Indiana Jones in my head, which is awesome. All right, let me see if there's any other questions. Will Frisia and Cornelius get together? That is from Lisa. Oh, Lisa. That, hey, you know, I don't know. She really likes him, but he's kind of oblivious about her, which makes me wonder if there's someone else that maybe Cornelius has already kind of been hooked on or something. I don't know why he wouldn't be interested in Frisia, because she's gorgeous. In my head, she's gorgeous. So we'll see, Lisa. I know you hate it when I answer that way, but that's what I got. Is there any time genetically between Clementine and Violet? Oh, Ty, I already read that one. Sorry. This is Joanne. Hi, Joanne. Rereading Deadwood has given me more insights into the Undertaker series. I had a few light bulb moments lately. That's cool. That's what I'm hoping, and Sam and I are hoping with the Undertaker series, is that when you take all these books and then you start going through and looking at, okay, here's this and here's this. This happened in the past. This happened here. You know, and the crossover characters like Prudence, who will be in both, and Masterson, who we learn, we met him in book 4. So you start seeing which characters were there and what's happened. Hopefully it's making it a richer overall series for you and story. I need to take another drink. So it's a moment to sit and take one more little drink. I'm not going to drink that much because this stuff is potent. It's really good. Don't get me wrong, but oh boy, this is potent. I hope you guys are enjoying whatever you're drinking and not going too stir crazy being stuck in your house. I do okay until every now and then when I realize these kids, we're stuck with these kids for another full month. Woohoo! I love them. But wow, I miss school. Oh, still not going to tell you Cooper's name, Lisa. Whew. Okay, so I don't know if we have any more questions right now. Let me do a couple more of these, and then we're about done for this edition. We'll move on to number 6, Meanwhile Back in Deadwood, which was a lot of fun to write, come up with those different meanwhiles at the beginning of every chapter. Let's see. Who does Violet see during the seance at the Galena house? And the answer is not Wolfgang Hessler, which a lot of people had said. It was the greaser. And I don't know who the greaser is. I haven't explored that yet. That's something that will come with time, possibly. Or maybe he was just there and he had to sadly lose his life in order to help Violet get back out. But anyway, it was the greaser. What news does Jeff Wymans tell Violet that makes her so happy? And that is, he is seeing someone else and not interested in her anymore. And I know some of you guys were so sad to learn that Jeff and Violet would not get together, because I know you guys think he is just the greatest guy ever. And he's so fun, and him and his plow. But yeah, he did move on. And for that, Violet is so grateful, because that guy, I do like Jeff. I really do. As you know, when I work with him, he's fun. And I think he's a good dad, and he's got a good heart. He's not good with the women. He just really isn't. How does Wilda Hessler die? Now, this is a really good, tricky one from the thing. How does Wilda Hessler die? And the options were poison that Wolfgang gave her, broke her neck falling down the stairs, bled out after falling on a dagger, and was hit by a car. And I'll be honest, when I first did this one, Diane comes up with these questions, and then I go in and answer, and then I put all the, I write the feedback. So for those of you who haven't done the quizzes, or who have, if you want to go back and answer the opposite, I try to put different feedback for if you're right or wrong, and try to give you a little bit behind the scenes, just to make it more fun. But I thought, I had to really think on this one. And I was thinking that she broke her neck falling down the stairs. And I said, and I answered that, and it was wrong. And I wrote to Diane, I said, are you sure she didn't break her neck falling down the stairs? And she laughed at me, being the author, and said, no, that's what everybody thought, until Doc had to prove otherwise, and said she bled out after falling on her dagger. So yeah, I got that one on too. It was a tough one. That's a tough. Sometimes Diane throws in these really tough ones that even I have to go, wasn't it the other way? What 11 books almost done now, with 5 shorts. I'd like to say that my brain is as sharp as it used to be when I was younger, and I remember all this stuff easily, but I'll be honest, if it wasn't for all those OneNote, the notes that Diane has taken, and I do go back and I read the series every time I start a new book, like book 11, I read all 10 plus the shorts. I do that every time. And you'd think I could recite some of Nearly Departed by heart by now, but I can't. But anyway, I still didn't get that one right. Yeah. Let me see if I have any more. Michelle, how old is Cornelius? I love him. He acts wacky, but I think he always knows what he's doing. Cornelius is awesome. Thank you, Michelle. He really, to me, he's in his 30s. He's not, I think some people have said in the past they thought he was older, and he's not. He's just a single guy in his 30s that has spent a lot of his life following the paranormal doings and world and all that kind of stuff. He has so much money handed down that he's able to go be that eccentric ghost adventurer that we all wish we could be. But he does come, from a line of seers and stuff via Louisiana, via his grandmother. So he does have his own abilities as well. But he is really, he's close to Violet's age in my head. Now, some of you may have pegged him differently, but for me, that's about where he's at. He really does. He's so good at acting like he doesn't know what's going on, or that he's a dunce, but he's really paying attention. And then I think that gets stronger as the series goes on, and you see that he just knows a lot of random facts. Let's see, Sharon, why do I torture myself? In regards to what? I'm not sure you mean, Sharon. I torture myself on a lot of things. I'm not sure what we were talking about when your question came in. What are you drinking? I missed it. Oh, Christy, I am drinking Russell's Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This is from my friend Sandra Brandon, and it is some heavy-hitting stuff. I'm feeling this. And this is just little tiny cups of it. Let's see, we have about 5 more minutes left of questions, and then we'll wrap it up for today, and I appreciate you guys hanging with me. I'm sorry if I'm not doing as well as I have in the last couple. Number one, this is not tequila. It's very exciting in my head. Number two, I'm working on doing now 3,000 words a day to get Deadwood 11 done, so I can get it to my editor, and so we can get it to you guys in May. So it's taking a lot of strain, a lot of my brain power, and I find myself as I'm talking to you guys every now and then thinking about, when a question comes in, I start thinking about what's going on in book 11, and I can't tell you guys about that. So if I'm not as snappy as usual, let's blame Violet and book 11, because it's becoming a little bit of a grind as I get to the end, but it's really fun, and there's so much going on, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. We're going to have a great time. Let's see if there's another question. Mr. Lucky says, hey, sexy. Hi. I think he knows I'm out here getting drunk, so now he's going to start flirting with me. Gail. Hi, Gail. Are you still planning on coming to Deadwood this summer? That's a really good question. We're on hold right now. The Western Writers of America had a conference scheduled right before us in Rapid City. They've canceled. There was a big all-school reunion going on the same weekend as us in Deadwood. They've canceled and postponed to next year. I have not officially said no yet. I'm in contact with those in Deadwood who, you know, we set it all up with the venue and all that. We're kind of waiting to see. It's not looking good because of what's going on out there. And the last thing I want to do is expose anybody to, if it's me, and maybe I already had it, and I you know, I would hate to be, you know, putting that out there for everybody, but I'm trying to give it a little bit longer to see, because we're a smaller venue. If you've bought plane tickets or you have hotel rooms, write me privately and we can talk about what's going on and see what's, you know, our options are. But otherwise, I want to wait just a little bit longer to see how this thing goes. It's not looking good, though. I mean, we all know what's happening. And we certainly don't want to get together and do anything where it spreads it to somebody who's vulnerable. So, but here's the thing. I still might be coming. I'm still, Mr. Lucky and I are still talking about coming to Deadwood. We just might not be able to do the big party stuff because we can't be exposing that many people, if you know. So hold on to that. We'll see. Angie, I would love for you to come to Tallahassee, Florida. Hi, Angie. We drive through there. We did that in, December, end of December, early January when we go down to Punta Gorda, but we don't stop at Tallahassee. It's usually on the way. So one of these times, maybe, you know, when we don't have children with us and we're not on school break, when we have to hurry, we can stop and do a little bit more meeting and greeting along the way. That would be a lot of fun. No, Lisa, I'm not snookered enough to tell you Cooper's first name yet. Ah, Lisa, I love you. You're the best. There was another thing I missed in here. Kimberly, the tequila shot with Natalie was my favorite. Tequila in Time, is that what you mean? The Deadwood shorts? That was a lot of fun to write. And I did, as I wrote, Mr. Lucky and I, he had me lined up with shots. And I did shots to try to see how it would affect your brain, you know, your mind as you go shot after shot. So we had a lot of fun preparing and researching for that book as well. I'm glad you like it. Probably alcohol. Does reality seem really boring after writing? That's from Elaine. Hi, Elaine. I don't know that you've asked a question, not today, at least so far. Thank you for asking. Yes and no. Reality, what happens when you write as much, especially like I've been lately, spending so much time in Deadwood, Violet's Deadwood, trying to move things. I come out of it and everything starts merging. I start thinking, for example, we're in winter. It's January up there. I keep forgetting that we're now in April here. I keep thinking it's January, and I'll think, man, it's really warm for January this time of year. You know, we must be having a warm winter. And then I have to go, you're an idiot. It is now April. You're not in January anymore. So everything kind of gets really blurry. And I tend to, Mr. Lucky and my kids will tell you, I tend to start blurting out stuff like, what if Violet did this? What if this happened to Cooper and Doc? You know, and I just blurt things out because it's constantly playing in my head as everything's going, you know, scenes are building and scenes are taking place. So it's not often boring. It's what's going on right now, though, for me is reality is a lot, it's a lot scarier than fiction is. Because even though Violet's, you know, the battles and the things she's dealing with, I feel like I have some control over that. I have no control over this virus and what it's doing to the world and how it's affecting us all. And that is a lot scarier than what's going on in Violet's crazy world. So thank you for asking that question. That was a good one. Let me see if there's another. Can you tell us why no ice cubes? From Dawn. Hi, Dawn. Not yet. That's something that you're going to have to keep reading to find out. It's a crazy thing. I mean, who doesn't like ice cubes? well, apparently Prudence, but yeah, it's weird. Lisa, I really need Coke for that. You're going to have to ship me some via Amazon because you can't go out to give it to me. Woo! Joanne, how are things where you are? I'm in New Jersey and it's pretty intense here. Oh, I bet so. I bet it's really bad in New Jersey. Here in, first of all, Prescott is kind of a smaller city. With the surrounding small cities, we are around 100 to 120,000, but it's a huge area we cover. So we're not packed in. We have a few cases, and our hospital has some tents set up outside to handle the virus, those coming in with the virus. And I do know that we're getting busier and busier. We're not, luckily, we're not as bad as the county next to us, the big county north of us, which is Coconino, where Flagstaff is. They have some more cases, and down in Phoenix, which is about 2 hours away, about an hour and a half away, it's worse. We're holding steady. We keep gaining 1 or 2 a day. No deaths so far in our county. I think we're up to around 50 cases, but no deaths. So that's a fortunate thing so far. People are staying in, although in our neighborhoods we have a little bit more space around us, so we can go for walks and we don't touch, come up against anyone, which is nice. Across the street is a big state, or it's a national forest, I think. I can't remember. Mr. Lucky can tell me. But anyway, we can go walking over there, and there's plenty of room, and it's wide open. So we're really fortunate. And our stores are not crazy like what we're seeing. We did run out of toilet paper and stuff for a while at Costco, but now it's pretty normal. I did have to go to 3 stores to find baking powder one day, but otherwise there's stuff back on the shelves. And people are keeping calm. And when I go to the grocery store, people keep their distance, but very few are wearing masks. But that was before the big order came out. So that's kind of where we're at here. It's a little bit more laid back. We just don't have what you have going on, Joanne. And hopefully we won't, if we're fortunate, because with more space and everybody being more proactive, maybe we won't. I feel for all you guys in the big cities that are really feeling the hit of this. This is horrible. Barbara, who does the artwork in the books? It really helps me picture some of these scenes. That's my brother, my older brother, Chuck. He has been drawing since he was 4, I think. Some of his first drawings, he was 4. And I would sit there, he's about 4.5 years older than me. So by the time I got to the age where I remember, he was 9 or 10, and he would sit there drawing, and I would just sit there and watch him. So he's been drawing monsters, and he drew monsters. It was never flowers and happy things. He's been drawing monsters since he was a little kid. So he does the artwork for me. He does the art pieces that are on the cover, like Violet's legs and the weapon, and sometimes the background pieces. And then he's old school too, so he does it all with colored pencil, usually in ink. And he sends them to us, or I go pick him up because he's down in Phoenix. And then there's a whole process where Mr. Lucky takes them and scans them, and then he's a graphic artist, so he does a lot of work with the art and creates the covers. And then also my brother does the illustrations on the inside. Usually those are just ink drawings. So then we'll take those and scan them and put them in. I'm glad you enjoy them. We decided from the start to include illustrations, which is not normal in most adult fiction, but we thought it would be fun to have some illustrations. And it's been really fun and cool and great to get to work with my brother and get to have all this, back and forth as we do the books. And his wife actually helps now too. She tends to read chapter by chapter as part of my first draft crew and gives ideas on which things she thinks might be really good for you guys to see as an illustration. So we kind of work as one big team. All right, I believe I think I've answered all questions that have come in pertaining to the books. So if I didn't answer your question, I apologize, and you can write to me. I can answer, or you can save them for next week when we'll be doing this again, and we'll be talking about book 6, but I can certainly come back and talk about book 5 or whatever. And next week I'll see, maybe I'll try more whiskey, or I'll go back to tequila. Maybe we'll have some mixed drinks. That would be fun. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out, taking a break from everyday life and what's going on out there. If you have other questions about the other books, the other series, I can field some of those too. I try to be careful because we do save these videos and put them on YouTube when we're done. And I want to leave it so that if somebody new coming in that maybe hasn't read the Jackrabbit series comes in and listens to these, I don't ruin anything for them. But at the same time, I want to have fun with you guys and keep doing. Oh, one more question. What does Mr. Lucky do in the real world? Mr. Lucky has always been part of these books and the process and the building from the get-go. So now, in addition to the many, many duties that go on behind the scenes with this business of writing, and it is a big business, he also now writes. So he is author, and he's a formatter, and he's a graphic designer, and he does all the IT work. Believe me, when I say Violet and technology don't get along, that is me. I'd like to beat things with baseball bats very often, but Mr. Lucky saves all of our equipment and keeps us going. So those are just some of the things he does, in addition to making sure we all still eat good food. Because if I cook, it's ugly. It's not good for the kids. They don't really like my meals that much. They like a few, but that's because I use the microwave. But Mr. Lucky is an amazing cook as well. And he's probably going to come out here after this is all over and say, what are you doing telling everybody that? But he is an amazing cook. So that's it for today. We've let's wrap up book 5. I'll put out the quiz for Meanwhile Back in Deadwood, which is book 6, in the next couple days as time allows. And Jan, I'm drinking Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, Russell's. So Jan Dobbins, hi. We'll be back. We'll get more to drink. Clothing's optional. Maybe we'll have pets again, maybe not. I was spitting cat hair for the first 10 minutes, and I think I ate a bunch too. Anyway, thank you guys for coming and hanging out and for asking me all these questions. And we will see you next week. And I'll do a poll to see which day works best for you, but it'll probably be Sunday again. That seems to be a good day. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming, and I will talk to you later.